heart of 12th century Paris, a profound ambition took root. It was the year 1163, and Bishop Maurice de Sully stood on the Île de la Cité, gazing not at the modest Romanesque basilica of Saint-Étienne, but at an imagined colossus. His vision, a cathedral so monumental, so audacious in its scale and lightness, that it would redefine the very limits of human construction. This wasn't merely about building a church. It was about sculpting an impossible dream from solid stone, reaching heights never before attempted, with a nave vaulting planned for an astounding 115 feet above the floor. To comprehend the sheer, almost insolent ambition of de Sully's project, we must cast our minds back to a world utterly devoid of modern cranes, steel girders, or computer-aided design. Imagine a construction site reliant solely on the raw muscle of men, the strength of beasts, and the ingenuity of primitive pulleys and levers. Every single block of stone, every beam of timber had to be moved, lifted, and positioned by hand. The tools were rudimentary: chisels, mallets, ropes, and the most precious resource of all, unyielding human resolve. This was a challenge that pushed medieval engineering to its absolute breaking point, asking for feats that, by all rational accounts, should have been impossible. Paris, in 1163, was a city on the cusp of greatness, a burgeoning intellectual and spiritual center, but still largely defined by its Roman past and early medieval structures. The existing cathedral, though respected, no longer suited the city's rising prominence nor its growing population. The king, Louis VII, sought a symbol of French power and piety. The people craved a sacred space that could encompass their burgeoning faith. But what Bishop de Sully proposed was beyond anything seen on the continent. He envisioned a structure that would capture the very light of God, elevating vast open spaces rather than confining them, a stark departure from the heavy defensive aesthetic of Romanesque architecture. Maurice de Sully was no ordinary cleric. Born to humble peasant stock, his ascent to the Archbishopric of Paris was a testament to his intelligence, charisma, and unshakable will. He was a man who understood both the spiritual aspirations of his age and the practicalities of power. His vision for Notre-Dame was deeply personal yet profoundly universal. He saw not just a building, but a prayer made manifest in stone, a beacon that would inspire awe for generations. He gathered the finest master builders, the most skilled stonemasons, and countless laborers, setting them to a task that would consume entire lifetimes and transcend dynasties. The chosen location, the Île de la Cité, was steeped in history. It was the very cradle of Paris, a place where Roman temples and early Christian basilicas had stood for a millennium. But this rich past presented a monumental problem. Beneath the chosen ground lay not virgin rock, but a complex tapestry of ancient foundations, burial sites, and in many places, marshy, unstable soil close to the Seine's waters. Before a single stone could rise skyward, thousands of tons of earth had to be moved, and foundations sunk deep enough to support the immense weight, estimated at over 200,000 tons of limestone alone, that would soon rest upon them. This preliminary work of establishing a solid base for such an unprecedented structure was, in itself, an engineering marvel, a testament to the meticulous planning and sheer scale of ambition from day one. On a spring day in 1163, with Pope Alexander III himself reportedly present, the first stone was officially laid for the new cathedral. This wasn't the cornerstone of the edifice as we know it, but the symbolic start of a colossal undertaking. The initial work focused on the choir, the easternmost part of the cathedral, a strategic choice, starting with the most sacred space allowed for early consecration and use, even as the rest of the massive structure slowly took shape. But even these early phases presented immediate, almost crushing logistical challenges. The limestone, a pale, durable material, had to be quarried from sites many miles upriver from Paris, primarily from the Saint-Leu-des-Serons quarries. Imagine the arduous journey. Massive blocks, some weighing several tons, first painstakingly cut from the earth by hand, then loaded onto barges for transport down the Oise and Seine rivers. Once they reached Paris, these stones had to be unloaded and then hauled across the island, through bustling, narrow streets to the construction site. This was a continuous, brutal ballet of raw force and coordination, demanding hundreds of oxen and specialized carts, all before the blocks even reached the master masons. The workforce was immense, a small army of dedicated individuals, each playing a critical role. There were the quarrymen, the boatmen, the carters, and then on site the common laborers who moved earth and stone, the master masons who meticulously shaped each block according to precise templates, the carpenters who fashioned vast scaffolding and centering for the arches, and the blacksmiths who forged the tools. Their lives were harsh, often perilous, marked by the constant threat of injury, disease, and exhaustion. Thousands of hands touched every single stone, shaping it, lifting it, preparing it for its place in this monumental jigsaw puzzle. It was a communal effort born of deep faith and a shared sense of purpose, a testament to what collective human endeavor could achieve, even against the most formidable odds. As the choir began to rise, the early structural puzzles quickly emerged. Constructing the incredibly tall, thin walls that would support the planned vaulted ceilings was a radical departure from established norms. The builders faced the critical question of how to achieve unprecedented height and openness without compromising stability. The very physics of weight distribution, lateral thrust, and stress on stone needed to be pushed, understood, and innovated upon. The early phases, while laying the groundwork for the iconic structure, were fraught with trial and error, with sections taking years to complete, constantly testing the resolve of the builders and the limits of their knowledge. This was the dawn of Gothic architecture, a period of breathtaking innovation driven by the ambition to build higher, lighter, and more luminously. The concept of the ribbed vault, for instance, was still evolving. Instead of relying on massive barrel-like ceilings, builders began experimenting with a skeletal framework of ribs that directed weight precisely to supporting piers, allowing for thinner infill panels and larger window openings. This was a critical, early insight into managing the immense downward and outward forces of a stone roof. Yet the full revolutionary potential of these ideas, particularly the external supports known as flying buttresses, had not yet been fully realized or perfected in Notre-Dame's initial designs. The early builders were taking monumental steps into the architectural unknown, learning and adapting with every course of stone laid. The initial construction of Notre-Dame wasn't a smooth, uninterrupted ascent. There were undoubtedly setbacks, moments of near despair. Early collapses of partially completed sections were not uncommon in medieval building. Imagine the sound of crashing stone, the dust, the immediate realization of failure, and the immense task of starting over. These were the moments where human ambition clashed brutally with the unforgiving laws of gravity and material science. Yet, with each challenge, the master builders and their devoted workforce found solutions, adapting techniques, refining designs, and strengthening their resolve. The journey of Notre Dame from an ambitious blueprint to a rising edifice was a multi-generational odyssey. It was a testament to the persistence of vision, the collective strength of a community, and the sheer audacity of individuals who dared to build beyond their era's perceived limitations. They were laying not just stones, but the foundation for an architectural revolution, a building that would inspire worship, spark conflict, and endure for centuries against the relentless march of time and the destructive forces it would face. The story of Notre Dame's rise is a powerful narrative of human spirit, pushing boundaries, brick by agonizing brick, towards an improbable, yet ultimately glorious triumph. This was only the beginning of its saga, a testament to the enduring human spirit that, even then, was already building the impossible. With its foundational stones laid and its soaring walls ascending, the ambitious vision for Notre-Dame Cathedral began to manifest as an undeniable reality. Generations of master masons, carvers, glaziers, and laborers poured their lives into its evolving form, pushing the very boundaries of what was thought possible in medieval engineering. By the mid-13th century, the main structure, including its immense western facade with its intricate portals and rose windows, its formidable twin towers, and much of the nave and transepts, had largely achieved its iconic silhouette. The early builders, driven by an unyielding faith and an almost obsessive pursuit of verticality and light, had forged a structural skeleton that amazed even its contemporaries. The use of the revolutionary flying buttresses, still a nascent concept at the time, allowed for thinner walls and vast expanses of stained glass, transforming the interior into a kaleidoscopic realm of divine light. This was a triumph not just of construction, but of aspiration, a physical prayer reaching 226 feet into the Parisian sky, weighing untold hundreds of thousands of tons, a testament to collective human will against the limitations of raw stone and basic tools. Yet a structure so grand, built across centuries, never truly achieves a singular completion. It is in a constant state of becoming, of adapting, of enduring. The cathedral continued to evolve. Chapels were added, spires rose and fell, and the original, relatively humble roofline gave way to a towering wooden framework, a forest of ancient oaks, topped by a slender, elegant spire that was destined to become a defining feature. By the 18th century, Notre-Dame stood as the undisputed heart of Paris, a silent witness to royal processions, grand coronations, and the daily rhythm of an ever-changing city. But monumental achievements also draw monumental challenges. The French Revolution, a cataclysm that sought to dismantle the old order, nearly brought Notre-Dame to its knees. Stripped of its religious symbols, its statues defaced, its bells melted down for cannon, and even its 28 Kings of Judah statues on the facade decapitated, mistaken for French monarchs. The cathedral was transformed into a temple of reason, then a mere warehouse. It survived, but barely emerging from the revolution, scarred and neglected, a shadow of its former glory. Its once vibrant stained glass lay shattered, its intricate carvings chipped away, its very existence hanging by a thread, destined perhaps for demolition. It was in this moment of profound decay, in the early 19th century, that a literary masterpiece, Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre-Dame, ignited a public outcry. Hugo's vivid depiction of the cathedral as a central character, a living entity witnessing human drama, stirred the collective conscience of France and the world. The novel's immense popularity sparked a passionate movement for its preservation. The call for restoration was answered by the visionary architect Eugène Viollet-le-Duc. From 1844 to 1864, he embarked on one of the most ambitious restoration projects in history, not merely repairing, but in many ways reimagining Notre-Dame. He meticulously rebuilt the damaged statuary, reinstated the gargoyles and chimeras that had been removed or destroyed, and most famously, designed and erected a new, soaring spire over the transept crossing, reaching 300 feet, adorned with statues of the 12 apostles, with Viollet-le-Duc himself depicted as St. Thomas. This was a pivotal rebirth, solidifying Notre-Dame's status as an architectural marvel and a national treasure, ensuring its survival through the challenges of 2 world wars and myriad social upheavals. For over a century and a half, Viollet-le-Duc's Notre-Dame stood as an immutable symbol of French heritage, enduring countless seismic shifts in culture and history, a magnet for millions of visitors annually. Yet the greatest challenge to its enduring legacy, a firestorm of unprecedented ferocity, was still to come. On April 15, 2019, as restoration work was underway, a catastrophic blaze erupted in the attic, beneath the ancient forest of the roof. The speed with which the dry, centuries-old oak timbers ignited and the intensity of the inferno were shocking. Within minutes, the world watched in horror as flames devoured the roof. The iconic lead-covered spire collapsed in a shower of sparks, and the very integrity of the stone structure was threatened. This was the ultimate test of its medieval engineering. The ancient stone, calcified over 850 years, endured unimaginable thermal shock. Firefighters battled heroically, risking their lives to save the 2 great western towers and the primary stone structure. The inferno raged for hours, consuming 2/3 of the roof and severely damaging the vaulted ceilings. Yet, against all odds, the main structure held. The western facade, its immense rose windows, the massive twin towers, and surprisingly, many of the crucial flying buttresses absorbed the shock. The grand organ, though water-damaged, survived. The priceless stained glass rose windows, a miracle of medieval artistry, largely remained intact, protected by the very stone they adorned. In the immediate aftermath, the world mourned, but the spirit of resilience that had built Notre-Dame in the first place quickly re-emerged. The task of reconstruction was daunting. Architects, engineers, historians, and artisans faced an unprecedented challenge. This is where the story of Notre-Dame's enduring life intersects directly with the cutting edge of modern technology. Artificial intelligence and advanced digital reconstruction tools became indispensable. Before the fire, extensive 3D laser scans had been conducted, providing an incredibly precise digital blueprint of the entire cathedral. This digital twin became the cornerstone of the reconstruction effort. AI algorithms are now meticulously analyzing the millions of data points from these pre-fire scans, comparing them with post-fire scans to assess every millimeter of damage to the surviving stone. AI helps identify structural weaknesses, predict areas of potential collapse, and even model the stress on remaining elements. It assists in cataloging and piecing together fragments of fallen stone and timber, acting as a virtual archaeological assistant on a scale previously unimaginable. Point cloud data, processed by sophisticated software, creates hyper-realistic virtual models, allowing architects to plan every detail of the rebuild, test different structural solutions, and ensure that the new materials integrate seamlessly with the ancient. The decision was made to reconstruct Notre-Dame exactly as it was, including a replica of Viollet-le-Duc's spire and the intricate forest roof structure, utilizing traditional materials and techniques where possible, but guided and informed by modern science. Ancient oak trees, sourced from throughout France, are being felled and shaped to recreate the lost roof timbers, following detailed digital plans derived from AI analysis of the original design. Artisans are relearning medieval masonry techniques, guided by digital projections of the original carvings. It is a fusion of ancient craft and futuristic precision. The reconstruction of Notre-Dame is not merely rebuilding a monument, it is a profound act of collective memory, a global commitment to preserving heritage, and an extraordinary demonstration of human ingenuity. It embodies the same unyielding spirit that first raised its walls from the ground in the 12th century, the same resilience that saw it through revolution and neglect, and the same dedication that meticulously restored it in the 19th. The cathedral stands once again as a powerful symbol of rebirth, a testament to what humanity can achieve when united by a common purpose and an unwavering vision. When Notre-Dame reopens, its restored glory will be a triumph not only of engineering and artistry, but also of perseverance. It will stand as a beacon, embodying centuries of history, human ambition, and unwavering faith. From the first stone laid by medieval hands to the AI-guided restorations of today, Notre-Dame is a living, breathing testament to the enduring human spirit, a structure that continually defies the impossible and reminds us that true greatness is not static, but forged in constant evolution and ultimate resilience. It is a story of continuous creation, a monument to the enduring power of human will.